All right. Welcome back for another episode of Tilton the Scales. I'm your host, Nathan Logan. I'm here with Chester Fred Bowen III, Wally Hall, and our friend of the show, Tim Constant, tonight. Uh, Welcome back. We took a week off for Thanksgiving and the holiday, so I hope everybody had a good holiday. We'll start with you, Wally. Give us a couple good things that came out of your holiday. Best food that you had, also, and then just tell us how you been.
Yeah, I mean, Thanksgiving's my number one holiday. It's my favorite. Good food, family, the whole works without any expectations or having to really do anything other than eat and sit and enjoy family. We had a great time. Watched some great football. I'm watching the Celtics right now versus the Milwaukee. Uh, Spent a lot of time with my son, my kids, out hunting in the woods, whatnot. It was a great week. Had a fantastic time. I'm excited to be here tonight. Favorite food from Thanksgiving? I'm a classic red-blooded American. I like the turkey. I like a freshly cooked turkey. I'm fastball straight up the middle. You know what I mean?
All right, Chet. What about you?
Oh, this so easy. This year was very special for me personally because I got to bring Cameron down. I found out, I don't remember, like maybe 2, 3 years ago, but like way too late, that my dad announces all of the high school football games in Ipswich, Massachusetts. And he was
You
like, "Hey,
said the last 2 years you learned that?
yeah, I didn't even know." So
Holy!
he was like, "Hey, my last game is whatever day that was." He's like, can you bring Cameron down and the family and let Cameron say something to the microphone." And he would have let Haley do it too, but he's smart enough to know she has no interest in that. So he's like, "But Cameron might." So I went down there, I watched it, and I was watching all these people thank him and hug him. There's a big giant picture of him by the
Banner. I saw the
shack.
banner. It looks fantastic.
Right, and then he let Cameron on his very last day. He let his grandson call a couple plays, and that was absolutely momentous to me. And to see that he had become like a staple in that community was really cool. So that was clearly the biggest moment. They made shirts. I have a shirt now that says "Another Ipswich Tigers first down" because that's
That's
what
got
he
to be
does.
his thing. Is that his saying?
That's his thing. Yeah, and he did it like a million times. He asked Cameron to do it. Cameron was like, "Nah, no, I'm good." But it was pretty fun. As far as this sort of like the next stuff, I didn't have a favorite food, but I did have this great weekend where I'm fortunate enough to live near Jeff and Wally, and they came over to my house. The three kids got along so well, as if they were like just us younger. That was so fun, and I got to host it, which is always great for me. So I'm on cloud nine these days.
Great time.
So
What are the
yeah,
chances we have three sons within a year and a half of an age?
right. And they got along great.
They did.
And that was so fun. So to me, that was a big part. And I'll end on that because that was great.
That's awesome. That's cool that y'all got to get the kids together and you guys got together to watch the football game. That's awesome.
Yep.
I'm jealous, but anyway,
You're welcome anytime.
Tim,
Open invite.
yeah, I was invited. I was invited, but it's just a long walk. That's for sure. From Austin, Texas to Goffstown, New Hampshire. Tim, how about you? How was your Thanksgiving?
Yeah, it was good. I'm Team Thanksgiving. We had I have a homeschool class that I tutor. We had an impromptu debate the Monday before Thanksgiving on which is better, Christmas or Thanksgiving.
Oh,
So they had to argue the positions that I assigned to them arbitrarily. And I'm always a fan of Thanksgiving for a number of reasons. But I think we all get the feely goods with Christmas and Charlie Brown, the little piano thing going on. But I always feel like Christmas just never pans out like it does when you're a kid, and so I just like maybe I sort of have retreated to Thanksgiving. I don't know. But it was great. Excellent food. So my wife smokes turkeys, and once you go smoke, you never go back.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
A couple of fat birds in there.
yeah.
Yep.
Nice. What kind of smoker? You guys got an offset smoker, or
We have a pellet smoker. Yeah,
yeah,
we got the Green Mountain.
yeah, that's awesome. I
We
haven't
bought that
figured.
with Uncle Joe's stimulus package money all
Yeah.
those years ago, and that was a good purchase.
Nice. Yeah. I use a Traeger pellet grill. Like it's so easy, man. If I had a bigger family and it wasn't just me, I would be smoking a brisket like every week, but it's just too much meat for me, and I'm not gonna freeze it because it won't
Doesn't
that's does it no justice. But yeah. I was gonna ask you, Wally, what did you was it fried, baked, traditionally
Oh,
roasted? What?
it was just in the oven. My father gets a fresh turkey every year. They've got it down to a science. Like, yeah, it's funny. Thanksgiving is a very like familial centered thing where you get like traditions. I'm used to a meat stuffing, which if you ever had a meat stuffing, it's very different than traditional bread stuffing, but it's what I've always had and I love it. Everyone's family's got their own like kind of traditions, and part of what I've enjoyed most about my family is passing on those traditions and seeing and watching my kids enjoy the exact same things I've enjoyed for the last 40 years. So like that's what I love Thanksgiving about. I get to eat food at Thanksgiving that I only ever eat at Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Nice. That was my next question was what traditions that you did when you grew up, are you passing on to your kids? So Wally, you just answered that. But I do have a question though. Who's going to cook the bird once, I'm sorry to say, life goes on. Like, well, you'll still have Thanksgivings when you're your dad's age, and your dad and everybody may not be around. So who's taking on that task?
Well, this just took a dark turn.
dark meat turn, man.
Yeah, no, thanks for bringing it. I don't know. I'd be happy to. I enjoy cooking. I enjoy grilling. I enjoy cooking meat, especially. I'd be ecstatic. But again, parents hold on to those traditions, so it's hard for me to pry any holidays away from my parents. Yeah. I'm 45 years old and I still travel for every single fucking holiday.
Yeah. What about you, Chet? You have any traditions that you grew up with?
I say this, and I know people are going to feel bad. We never had traditions in my family. More often, I was at Tim's house than I was at my own for like stuff like that. But I will say this, I have gladly adopted the responsibility. That's why this year was so fun for me. Like I got to just go down there, see my dad do something great and feel proud of my family. And that was so cool. But for the most part, I have started all the traditions. So I guess, 200 years from now, we'll find out what sort of passed on from there from me. But I am happy to start traditions. Like I've always said, I don't follow trends, I start them, which sounds arrogant, but it's also necessary.
Nice. What about you, Tim? The transitions, the traditions that you had growing up with your parents, which are you passing on to your kids? And
I think we had this sort of cultural traditions that we adopted, Thanksgiving, family and all that. But we, early on, when we were living in Los Angeles, Amber and I were talking about the importance of having a family tradition that kind of like what Chet was saying, that belongs to us and we start. And so we started this, we had sort of a family holiday. We call it the Day of Jubilee. And it comes after sort of, are you familiar with the Jewish law, the year of Jubilee, which means every 7 years you had to free all the slaves. It's a big celebration year. And so, so we free our slaves every 7 years. No, so once we pick a day in December, and it's just a day of celebrating God's goodness and grace to us. We typically we'll go see just kind of silly things. We'll go to a thrift store and we each have $5 to buy someone else a gift. We'll go ice skating. We'll go bowling. And it's just a time of fun and Thanksgiving, and just that our family started, and I anticipate it carrying on with their kids. So it's kind of a fun little thing.
I like that.
That's cool.
I love that.
Yeah, I think Thanksgiving is definitely. I think I would agree with you all. Like we all like the food, so it's just a better holiday. There's no expectations with gift giving and all that. And I mean, again, as a parent, like there's nothing makes you happier than giving gifts to your kids, and they're super excited about it. So that's also a big part about it.
Can I make a play for Christmas? I don't know if you guys see the red dot that goes across my head every now and then.
Dude, I was gonna say, I keep
But-
thinking there's like a sniper who's trying to pull a bait. It's really
Yes,
bad.
I am so important. Someone wants to kill me.
He's like getting bored.
So I love Christmas because like I put the lights up on the tree and like what you're seeing is a broken projector outside my house. It's supposed to be the Christmas tree with the red dots and all that stuff, but it broke. Don't worry, I bought new ones. They'll be here Sunday before the game. But I do love Christmas because I pull up to my house up the driveway and I see the Christmas tree on. I see all that stuff, and I watched like Home Alone with Cameron a couple nights ago, and I was like, man, I never thought I'd see this movie again in my life. Which, by the way, before you watch it with your kids, screen it. It's not PG then is not what it is now. Just putting that out there. But that said, I do love Christmas. I think I'd pick Thanksgiving, but I do love Christmas because I think it's the lights, it's festive. It is sadly well overdone and too commercialized now. So I get why people pick Thanksgiving, but Christmas definitely has a spot still for me.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy Christmas. I enjoy it a lot more here than I would. I like a white Christmas too, but like I also like being on the beach, toes in the sand on Christmas Day. You know, like a palm tree decorated like a spruce tree. You know,
Yeah.
pine. Like there's not too many things better than that. I'll be honest. I would love to celebrate Christmas and get sunburned, not windburnt or like sunburn from light reflecting off of the snow. Like, but yeah, that's what I like about Christmas.
I hear you, Nate. I went downtown today for 30 minutes. It was like 20 degrees out. Tim, I'm sure you can relate. And I brought Cameron down there to do the Christmas tree lighting. And I was like, nope, we are not staying here for that. It's 30 minutes and I can't feel my face. No, thank you.
Did you laugh before the tree was on?
He was in support of it. Like he was like, Dad, I'm really, really cold. I can't feel my fingers. I was like, all right, bud. So we did all the vendor stuff that was going on down there, and then we went home before that.
Yeah, that's cold, man. I'm not gonna lie.
cold.
It was a balmy, a chilly. What was it? It was 38 this morning here in Texas, but it warmed up to 58. But still, it was pretty cold, man. I had to walk out with a few layers on. I was like, it wasn't miserable, but like it took me a while to get loose and warm in the gym. So,
well, it's good. I think it's good for it to be cold in Austin because it keeps all the weirdness kind of like it slows down.
Yeah, it keeps everybody inside. Yeah, it keeps everyone off the streets. Keeps all the weirdness off the streets. Yeah, I would agree with that because it was kind of like traffic was pretty easy today. You know, people. Everywhere I went, I had a doctor's appointment. They're like, "Man, it's dead today," and I'm like, "Must be the cold." Like, I'm sorry to hear that, but yeah, it must be the cold. All right, so I'm glad everybody had a good and a happy Thanksgiving. Got to see everybody, all their families. Everybody got together, had a good time. I know that's always a good time. I'm looking forward to my time with family. Will come in December. I'll be up that way in New Hampshire and Vermont from the 24th to the 3rd, I think, or the 2nd. So I'll be up that way. And I think we still need to have a conversation, Chet, even though he's not on right now, about the Patriots game on the 30th. How are we feeling about that?
Oh my God. Well, Wally was here. Wally, you want to start since I'm off camera?
No, you go ahead and take it home, buddy.
So, same as the game the week before. I was thinking, man, we're turning a corner. We got this great quarterback. We understand how to utilize this great quarterback to play a game and actually win it. Maybe do some clock management. Like we're looking really good. And then so Jeff Wall and I are sitting here watching the game, feeling okay. Like we're smart enough to know it could fall apart at any moment. Like none of us were like ever fully confident. Just to watch us let it go to a subpar offense who took, I don't know, what was it, 6 minutes off the clock? 6, 7? I can't remember exactly the amount of time, but like whatever it was to give us the ball back. And we got this, I think, potentially great. I say potentially great quarterback on the team and then kick a 68-yard field goal. And I really believed, this is just like my stupidness. Wally and Jeff were here, our kids were hanging out, and I was like, we're going to break the NFL record because of course that would happen now because we're all together. That makes perfect sense. And he kicked it right down the middle and missed. And I was so emotionally disappointed, but logically, I knew he was going to miss. So that's my take on the game.
It was best case scenario. Again, we want those ugly wins. We want those close losses because we're not going to make the playoffs. Let's get the best draft pick we can. Let's take those semi wins where we can get them and lose the games so we can get a better draft pick.
Yeah, well, that's where Will and I disagree. I'm such a purist. Every time the Patriots take the field, including this week, no, not this week because they're on the bye, but like next week, I want them to win. I don't care about draft picks. I just want them to win.
When you were talking about that field goal, I was like, that sounds like me watching the Tyson fight. I want magic to happen. Magic isn't real. That's not going to happen. No.
Magic isn't going to happen. Oh, I don't know. Well, yeah.
I wanted Jake Paul to, oh man.
Just Tyson just nailing one. I did too. I
have a conspiracy theory on that, and we'll talk about that when we get to it.
I've heard it. Yep.
Did you think Tyson was going to win, Nate?
I think I wanted him to win. I think he can. I think he can beat Jake Paul. I guess we can divert the conversation and we'll talk about this. So my conspiracy theory is that I'm sure you guys have seen on social media and everybody's saying that the fight was rigged.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson was pulling punches. He had a bunch of open shots that, normally his quick reaction and quick thinking would be driving that dude's head through his fist and he'd be on the mat. He still has the power to do that. Here's my conspiracy theory though, because we've all seen replays. We've all seen him pull. He did pull punches. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, if he didn't throw the punch because he thought, he missed the opportunity and that was just boxing rust, that could have been it. But it looked like reactionary things on his part were not happening the way that you normally would. And Jake Paul was seeing these things happening and was shitting himself, and then it didn't actually happen. And he was like, you could see him like with a sigh of relief, like he'd inhale and inflate himself, and then he's like, oh, thank God I survived that. But so my conspiracy theory is this: Jake Paul is an amazing promoter. That promotion that he had all those fights under, they were all his promotion. They were all his handpicked fights. I believe that it was rigged. Tyson was paid a certain amount of money to not win, and that was part of the contract. Whether Tyson could actually win or not, that doesn't matter. But the wording in the contract, I believe, stated that. And we'll never know this, right? But I do think from a promotion standpoint, again, and here's where I'm going with this: Jake Paul and Mike Tyson agreed to this. At some point, it's already come out, but at some point it'll come to a boiling point. Mike Tyson will admit that he was paid to not win. And then Jake Paul will deny it. Jake Paul will deny it. He'll be like, hell no. If Mike Tyson's saying I paid him to lose, no, I'm going to whoop his ass. I'm going to beat him again. And then there goes the rematch, right? And they're all going to make more money. And I'm telling you, man, this thing.
I think we've had this conversation before, but we're talking about 26 years old versus 56 years old. Hasn't fought professionally in 20 years. Has spent the majority of that 20 years smoking prolifically, openly. I mean, we're not talking about a guy whose last fight was last week. And mind you, his last half dozen fights were horrible. He didn't do well. He looked terrible. He got his ass kicked 20 years ago. And we're talking about a guy, and say what you want about Jake Paul, he is probably the premier promoter of our time. Like, he's very good. He got a lot of eyes on him. A lot of people watched that fight. It was fraudulent, and we were duped. But a lot of people watched that fight.
My
He's 26 years old, can fight at an elite level. Like, say what you want about him. The guy's legitimate. He punches hard. He's not an actor. This guy's a fighter. He's a legitimate fighter.
my theory is not too far off of yours, Wally. Just looking at Tyson come up to the ring, I was like, this guy just ate a salad bowl full of shrooms, ranch dressing, pork. I bet this guy was tripping balls like I never seen. He was probably fighting Puff the Magic Dragon for all we know.
I mean,
That's my thought.
that's probably why we got that glorious shot of him in his thong.
Oh my god!
On TV,
Like, crazy.
Of course, yeah. But again, that's
I didn't need that. I didn't need it.
my conspiracy theory is again that
I saw that live. I
Yeah.
saw that live talking to you guys.
yeah, you did. We have it on video, and you showed us the replay, the instant replay.
I did.
We were happy to see that, and it was all over. I was really gonna do something with that on the next show. Like I was gonna find a reason to walk away, and then there's nothing but cheeks as I walk away. Put that on the internet. Again, from a promotion standpoint, I just think that this was Jake Paul's biggest fight, the biggest promotion that he had. They made the most money. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So why wouldn't they run it back? And again, let's think of it. Don't think of it as a conspiracy theory. Think of it logically. That Mike Tyson was rusty. He's old. Do we want to see an old guy get in there again? No. But if we all believe and we all think that he was paid to lose, and that was the performance that we got out of him because he signed a contract, and then Jake Paul adamantly denies that that's not it. Mike Tyson produces a contract that states that. Jake Paul adamantly denies it. This whole thing, I'm telling you, there's a few more steps that need to take to go forward with this. But I'm honestly, I'm not Nostradamus or anything like that. I don't think I'm foreseeing the future, but I wouldn't be surprised if it plays out in some way, shape, or form like this, where again there's a rematch. Because who else are they gonna fight?
Gordon Ramsay.
No, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah. McGregor. He's going to fight.
Yeah. They talked.
He
I
just
think
got
McGregor would be
I don't think
huge.
he's going to be able to go back to the UFC. I can see the two of them fighting.
Yep. Easy.
No, there is no way Jake Paul should. Jake Paul is not a dumb guy. He should not step foot in the ring with Conor McGregor at any point in time.
No, we're talking Mike Tyson, not Jake Paul.
Jake Paul would be ecstatic to step in the ring with Conor McGregor. He'd be
What?
a lot to. Oh my god!
Hold on.
He's been picking off MMA guys. This is his MO. And McGregor's the biggest MMA guy. And he hasn't fought worth a shit. He's got injured every time he's fought in the last 5 years.
Well, he hasn't fought an MMA guy doing MMA. And I think that's the Conor McGregor fight that everybody's talking about. It's an MMA fight with Conor McGregor. He does not want to step foot in the ring with anybody that can use hands and feet. He's just not. He's not ready for that. And I would hate to see him get in a boxing
match. I'm talking about a boxing match.
I don't think that's on the table. I don't think Conor wants to box. But it's feasible. I don't think Jake Paul. I don't think Jake Paul will be able to pay him enough.
But Nate, especially since we're recording, I have to say this. I get the conspiracy theories around everything. I really do. The whole deep state thought, all the thing. We're capitalists. So when you're a capitalist, you open yourself up. No, as a capitalist society, you open yourself up to everything's about money, right?
Yeah.
So I can absolutely see how you can connect those dots. Okay, this is what happened. We saw Mike Tyson pull punches. I posit this, and I could be wrong, but Mike Tyson is a few years away from collecting Social Security, and he's in there with this dude. So he might just be he's gonna throw a punch like he used to, but he's it's not gonna hit the same. I gotta think. I gotta just stay alive. This young guy's gonna beat me. It could have been a strategy. If there's a rematch, though, Nate, and it plays just the way you said it plays, then I will be the first one to say you were right. I do think, though, we get too involved too many times and like this is not real. And my question is, if we're that smart and we can think about what other people are doing, why aren't we doing it?
Because I don't own a boxing promotion, and I don't like.
We got a few zeros short on our bank account,
Yeah, for sure.
probably.
And a few million subscribers short on our YouTube channel.
We're working on that. We're working on that.
We are.
Mike Tyson still puts asses in seats. He's still going to sell a lot of pay-per-views. His name alone, I would argue, he's still the biggest name in boxing, and he hasn't boxed in 20 years.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, well, again,
that proved it. I'd say that proved it.
No, that's probably a different subject as well. Like boxing in itself is almost like baseball, man. We on this show we haven't talked baseball in like 4 months, and there's been a World Series champion. There's been MVPs voted. Like we still haven't talked about baseball for whatever reason. Maybe it's because the Red Sox aren't involved. But like, I mean, I like baseball, but it's still almost irrelevant as far as sports are concerned. Same with boxing. Like, I mean, there's some big names out there, but I mean, yeah, boxing is kind of dead, man. I'm not gonna
baseball. Like I'll just tell you, I don't want to talk about it unless it involves the name Caruso. I don't want to talk baseball. I don't care. I've never cared about baseball. It bores me.
I want to talk Juan Soto, but we'll do that some.
If the Red Sox sign him, I'm going to talk about that for sure.
I like the business side of that stuff. Like I do like that. I will agree. Like that's fun for me. Like Juan Soto, baseball, 162 games. Like, are you going to sign this guy? I do enjoy the business side of the conversation.
Are you clapping because of the game, Wally? Yeah, look at Al. Big Al. Sorry. Yeah. We're watching the Celtics game. The Celtics are up.
I was watching old reruns of Larry Legend today.
Yes. Thank you, Tim.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Get better than Larry Legend.
No, it doesn't.
I
don't know how that guy played basketball. He looked like an accountant.
Yeah. He's like paving his mother's driveway. That's how he got his back injury. Can you imagine that shit today?
Because he didn't want to pay the money. Because he thought they were quoting him too high.
No. What?
It's a very true story.
I know.
He thought they were the contracts were quoting too high, so he did it himself and fucked his back up. It ruined his career.
Yeah, definitely shortened his career.
He's an executive coach still. He was an above average NBA coach and an above average NBA executive. Those Indiana teams were no joke.
They weren't. Oh, did he just decide he didn't want to do it anymore? Is that
wait, Wally? Was he really above average as a coach? I do agree, executive, but as a coach, was that true?
Yes. I think he was an above average NBA coach. Those Indiana teams did well. I mean, I think they went to the finals, didn't they? Or did they go to the finals yet? I mean,
he coached Reggie.
There was a bunch of games against the Knicks. Like, I'm trying to think about this. I want to say they went to the finals once. Did they play Kobe in the finals?
Oh no, I'm gonna look.
No, you should look because I do know for a fact he was an above average executive as a coach. I remember feeling as like a guy who loves Larry Bird, like, oh, I just wish he could have done better. That's my memory.
The Jordan documentary, wasn't he the coach of Indiana in Chicago beat Indiana in the Eastern Conference Finals, and Jordan said something to Bird, if I remember correctly, when Bird was the coach of Indiana. I remember that.
Jordan talking about Bird and playing him, and he told his team, Larry Bird,
97 to 2000.
To what?
He coached from 97 to 2000, and Indiana advanced to the Eastern Conference Finals in each of his 3 years.
Okay.
He made the NBA Finals in 2000.
See, that makes me love my guy even more right there. I love him more now.
Yeah. 147 and 67 in 3 years.
He had Reggie Miller, right?
Yes, he did. And
one of the best 3-point shooters of all time, with the other best 3-point shooter of all time as his coach. Not bad.
Mm-hmm.
They ran into Michael Jordan. That's the problem.
Rick Schmitz.
And yeah.
Yeah. Oh, come on, Boston. Wally, what do you see as the score right now, just to make sure we're on the same page?
101, 105.
Okay, yeah, me too. Okay.
And Giannis just missed one of 2 free throws. 111 left.
Yep. All right. This never works. We're somehow exactly at the same time. Tim, can you watch the game from where you're at or no? Oh, sorry. Well, then we'll update you. I know you're
It's like watching my kids play Doom or something on like the Twitch network.
Do they play
still
Doom
play
or do
Doom?
they play Fortnite? What do they play? Fortnite?
Twitch,
My kids-
Twitch is you watch other people play,
No,
right?
I would disown them.
yeah. Yeah, my kids my you asked for Fortnite, I was like, no.
Yeah, we're not. The kids like video games. We're not a huge video game fam.
Oh, okay.
All we do is just read the classics all the time after we translate them from Greek.
Just read Odysseus over and over again.
Translate this from Greek. That sounds good. That's a fun time.
Chris Mullins was on that team. Chris Mullins, Reggie Miller, Mark Jackson. I forgot about that team.
The problem is they ran into Michael Jordan. That's the problem.
No, because they made it to the finals in
Game over
in 2000.
That's a big hoop. That's a big hoop by Drew Holiday against his old squad.
You're 1 second ahead of me now suddenly, but I love it. I love it.
27 seconds left, up by 5.
Yeah, that's game. Should be game anyway.
All right, so this dang.
It's
We'll
very
go back to the
regular
Patriots
podcast.
game. We'll go back to the Patriots game and this disappointment and like.
Oh yeah,
It's not disappointing.
I think we're all on the same boat. Like, definitely coaching. There needs to be some sort of change, and I don't think head coach is the problem. I think the D coordinator is just not. And could it be? I don't know if it is Jared Mayo, as far as him not allowing the DC to make changes, but there's definitely no adjustments being made on the defensive side of the ball. Their defense wasn't prepared to play against Anthony Richardson. Like, I'm not saying he's one-dimensional, but there were, fortunately for us, most of the second half, Anthony Richardson was missing guys wide open with nothing but green space and free real estate between them and the end zone, and he was overthrowing them time and time again, which again was good for us, but it just seemed like the defense wasn't prepared to play against this team. The offense, they came out and unfortunately they made it to the red zone, I think four times in the first half, and only came out with three field goals and a touchdown. But
yep. I'm sorry. I know that we record, so I try to be polite. No, fuck this. This is a head coach issue. It's a head coach issue. We need to move on from this head coach. We need to hire Mike Vrabel or someone like that who knows how to make sure this team is good. And I listen to WEEI every morning on the way to work, and I hear Gerard Mayo talk, and I'm like, the guy doesn't know what to say, how to say. He's not in control. And maybe that's Robert Kraft's fault, maybe. But I can tell you, as someone who is in my own business, at some point you have to learn how to manage up and make sure that you're in control. Because if you're not in control and you're playing a middle manager while you're also supposed to lead, that never works. He sounds like a middle manager who's supposed to be the leader. And of course, his players look at him like, well, you don't call the shots. You're always walking back what you say. You say something, we don't know if it's real or not because you have to walk it back on Monday or Tuesday on the radio. There's no way you're going to build a team like that. So, again, I'm sorry.
No,
I'm very passionate. I'm very passionate about this.
You know how much I hate saying "I told you so." It's really one of my least favorite things to do. But I feel like in this instance, it's warranted because he's not been a good coach since early on. The signs were there from the beginning. The more troubling part is that you can give a little leeway to a new coach, right? In weeks 1 through 6. but you would hope to see some sort of upward progression in terms of performance. And if anything, I've seen a steady deterioration. They're doing worse. Their play calls worse. Their defensive strategies are worse. We've lost. I would argue we've lost 2 or 3 games this year based solely on coaching decisions.
Agreed.
Which I guess it kind of lends me to ask. And Chet asked us earlier on, maybe it was you, Nate. Were they paid to lose? Are they paid to not do well this year so that they can get a higher draft pick and do better next year? And maybe that's the answer, because if we're going based solely on performance, this entire coaching staff should not be on the team next year.
Well, I think you are right because it's your opinion, but you're wrong. Here's why I think that there has to be some stability. They brought in Jared Mayo. That was a handpicked hire by Robert Kraft.
Oh, yeah.
He needs to stay in place. I have seen the evolution of the offense. The offense with Drake May has looked, since Drake May has been starting, has improved. I feel like week in and week out. By that I mean maybe not so much adjustments in game, but their preparation for the week leading up to, their first 3 or 4 series are usually on the scripted plays. They execute well. So Van Pelt it has some coaching acumen, like he's building rapport with Drake May, which is what we want, and we want to be able to build off of that every year. So I don't think we fire a head coach and then bring everybody else in new. Like that's not doing anybody any good at this point. Like everyone was brought in brand new this year for hopefully, I don't know what the contracts that they signed. I'm sure we could easily look it up, but if it's a 3-year contract, like let's be a little patient. Like, and also if I'm one of the coaches and I'm being criticized like this, or let's say the owner calls me in and basically says, hey, tell me why I shouldn't fire you based off of your performance. I would say, well, I will give you 40 million reasons why you shouldn't fire me. You have $40 million under the cap that we did not use to bring in talent onto this team. And you also traded, assuming that it was the ownership that made the move and the GM, you traded our best player on defense before the season started, and then you traded one of our top 5 defenders 3 weeks into the season to a Super Bowl contender, nonetheless. Those would be my reasons for keeping my job, because you didn't give me the resources that I asked for before training camp started. I told you, I identified the things that we needed in order to be successful on the field, and those things were not provided for me. So I don't,
But you still need to see improvement. And again, I've seen an improvement in Drake May, but I have not seen an improvement in many other facets of this football team. And again, it doesn't account for the decision making. It doesn't account for the defensive schemes. It doesn't account for the play calling, which is some of the most predictable play calling I've ever seen in a football team. I can almost predict when they're going to run. It's just I feel like we could be doing better, and that's a bigger issue. If you're not confident in his ability to win, if you're not confident in his ability to make changes in the flow of the game, and I'm not, then you got to pull the trigger, because that's not going to. I don't think it'll get better.
I agree. Also,
for the game.
Here's the thing: as a grown man, at some point, you have to look at your boss and you say, look, this is what I know. This is what I do well. Fire me or let me do my job. And I really respect Bill Belichick for doing that. Sure, at the end, he started to fail at doing his job. His philosophy no longer worked. Time had passed him by, et cetera, et cetera. But you have to look at Jonathan Kraft. Like, let's be honest, it's not Robert anymore. And you got to say, I need to do my job. Let me do my job or fire me. Like, at some point you become a grown man. Like, he's 37. So like at this point you say, if I'm going to be on the football field representing the New England Patriots and I'm going through every single practice, let me do it my way. There has to be that. And if it's not, it's never going to work. If you get 3, 4, 5, 6 different people pulling the strings every single week, there's no consistency there. There never will be.
Yeah. I mean, again, I just think that there needs to be stability, and we don't need the knee-jerk reaction of like firing the coach. Like I just think that shows a lot of impatience, and like we fired the best coach of all time. So we're not going to we didn't hire his replacement. We hired a coach, right? So he's not going to fill those shoes, or he's not going to do it in the first 14 weeks of the season. That's for sure. We know that now, but I think again, based off of the conversations that the ownership had with the coach, I mean, I'm sure there are some performance matrix for the coach as far as what things that their expectations that need to be met throughout the season. And I would assume, because no one's been fired, that those things are being checked and those things are being accomplished. Now, I agree. Like, I think the defensive coordinator, needs to go. Like, or we need to really dial in the head coach and let him call the defensive plays, and we'll see what his coaching acumen is and how he understands the team that he has on the field. But there is just the defense is probably the most frustrating part for me, because that's a stalwart part of our team. Like, they were supposed to be the most consistent bunch, the NFL ready bunch to like at least go out and hold the team to under 20 points consistently a week, but we're way behind that. We're like 28th overall in defense. So like that D coordinator, I'm sorry, there needs to be a new D coordinator. I don't think Covington knows what he's doing or has the confidence to do it, or maybe the coach is not taking the reins off and is not allowing him to do that. I don't know.
You keep talking about stability, like we want stability, and I understand that to a certain extent, but I don't know that it's stable at less than 5 wins is the best case scenario, because I just don't see him developing the talent. I feel like, again, I just don't feel like I've seen any improvement. I'm okay with us not winning. I'm okay, but we got to see some improvement. And if you feel more confident about the team now than you did at week 1, then I think we're watching different games, because I feel more confident in our quarterback. But our defense has been really bad. Our defense has been really bad.
We lost by 1 point to a team that's twice as many wins better than us.
We have how many wins do we have?
We have 3. The Colts have 6. Like, they're twice as many wins as us. Like, I'm not saying they're on paper, they are a much better football team. They're underachieving themselves. Again, we talked about this at the beginning of the season. This is the worst team in the NFL on paper. And we've got 3 wins.
Josh Downs even play against us?
Jonathan Downs?
Josh Downs, yeah. Did he play against us? I don't think he did.
I don't. He did this week, I believe. You're talking about for the Colts. You're wondering if he played at all?
Yeah, I don't think he played against the Patriots. I'm pretty sure. Or maybe I'm wrong, but
he might not have.
Well, sometimes I say things very confidently, Nate, and you look it up, and I'm very wrong.
Yeah.
So
if you're going to be wrong, do it loud. That's what I always say.
That's my mouth. That's my motto. You'd be amazed how many people believe you.
But I really think that
seems like it's working for the Patriots, coach. I don't know.
Tim, what are you drinking there? Is like some Colorado IPA?
Hibernation.
Oh, I like that.
No, Josh Downs did not play.
Exactly. They didn't even have their best receiver, and they still beat us.
Michael Pittman's a pretty good receiver. Alec Pierce is a pretty good receiver. Those two receivers are probably better than our best 2.
No argument. No argument there.
Hunter Henry he led the team with 7 receptions.
Hunter Henry, I love Hunter
Cooper
Henry.
caught the
He's like,
touchdown. I mean,
you guys remember Ben Watson or Benjamin Coates?
yeah, I remember
Guys.
Benjamin Winter Coates. I remember him.
Yeah. That's like Hunter Henry. That's where we're at right now. We get a great tight end. We really do. I even think Austin Hooper has done okay. He started slow, but he's done better. But man, this team right now, I do think we need to move on from the head coach. And I say that out loud. And I know, Nate, you disagree, and we'll see what happens next year. But man, tough one. Tough year.
I mean, it is a tough year, but again, I told you about the conspiracy theory that I had. I think I broached the subject week 6. I think after they traded Uchi, and they're like, I mean, it seems pretty obvious. And again, this is probably the reason why there won't be a head coaching change, because management is making the decision to tank and not capping, paying, not using all of the salary that they have, all of the financial assets that they have to get a good team on the field, and they want draft picks. And
I know.
I mean, that's why they traded Uchi. That's why they traded Judon. And
I got a question. I'm revealing my ignorance. So let's say if the Pats are the worst team in football, which sounds likely, do they get a higher draft pick?
Yep.
Do they just get one higher draft pick, or are all their draft picks kind of moved up?
Yeah,
every round they're high up.
In every round.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. So the draft position or the draft order is determined by your record, unless you swap picks with somebody that doesn't have a good record, or and there's been times where that's happened, but yes, you're right now they would draft number 4, I think. So
I would think
there's 3 teams ahead of them right now that are.
Elliott Wolf did one really good thing. Elliott Wolf traded Matt Judon for a 3rd-round pick, which at the time I was like, this guy's fucking crazy. Why would you trade Matt Judon?
This is for me.
And then I realized, Tim, do you have kids around you?
Yeah, but I'm
sorry. No, I will stop doing that.
No.
But Matt Judon for the 3rd round, I was like, that's amazing. That's amazing that they got a 3rd-round pick for Matt Judon, who's done nothing. Because we've seen it for the past 3 years. He does great for the first half of the season and then disappears. So good job, Elliott Wolf, on that. Otherwise, I don't see any great moves.
Well, again, I just see the moves as being proof that we're tanking. We want a high draft pick. We're not committed to putting the best team on the field this year financially. And we're going to trade some of the best assets that you have on the team as well, which supports that, and if the head coach has no say in that, then of course that's got to be a reason also, again, in the meetings. Why should I not fire you? Because you took my best players away from me, and I objected. So I was not given an opportunity to put the best team on the field and to coach the best players that we can afford.
Fair enough. Hey, can we get into the because I want to talk about episode 4 and 5. I know Tim didn't see them, but Tim,
hold on a second. Yeah, can we? Go ahead. I want to throw a curveball in here because I think there's a couple big things that have happened this week that I'm curious as to what you guys think of it. The first thing I want to ask about, and this is kind of out of left field, but did you see the assassination of that healthcare CEO in New York City?
Yep. With the writing on the bullets and everything. Yep.
The who? What? What was this?
Nate, you've seen it.
I haven't. No.
Oh. Well, I think it's United Healthcare or something like that. Gigantic healthcare company. The CEO got assassinated in New York City.
But you said something about writing on bullets. What?
Defer, delay. So it's a standard thing that we all understand. Well, most people know when it comes to healthcare, it's defer, delay, deny.
Oh, yeah.
So we all know that, right? So on the bullets, it said something like defer, delay. I'm not sure, Wally, am I getting that right? Like it was like defer, delay, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So
can
was
see
this like
straight-
a sniper shot, or was this a guy that walked?
Point
He
blank.
had a pistol
Point blank
with a
pistol?
silencer with a suppressor.
Point blank.
Huh.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
he's still on the run. They found probably his backpack.
I heard that just recently.
Which I always think is pretty interesting. I mean, like, it's talking about conspiracy theory. I'm like, you just shot someone, you ran away, you had your backpack that was the most conspicuous thing about your outfit, and you leave it in Central Park to be found. Come on now.
Do you want it? I mean, it's like the gun in The Godfather, right? Drop the gun, grab the cannolis. Like you want to have it with you.
Yeah, but there's a million things you can do with a backpack, like put a rock in it and throw it in the water, or
Water. Yeah.
rather than leave it in Central Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, my thought on that is like this guy isn't a trained professional. As soon as he shoots those rounds, like one, his ears are still ringing for probably like 10 minutes.
Well, on that point, I know I don't. Who knows if he was a trained professional, but he clearly, like, his gun jammed, and he cleared the jam pretty efficiently, indicating that he has some familiarity with firearms. So I'm not saying he was a professional, but he kind of knew what he was doing. So yeah, who knows if it was just an ideologue.
His gun jammed? Is that like before he got a shot off?
No, he shot him once through the chest. I think the guy only had two. He only took two shots. One was through the chest, which initially dropped the guy. I think it jammed after that, and then he shot him in the calf, maybe, when he was on the ground. And then he just walked away, got on an e-bike, went into Central Park.
Some dude on Twitter discovered the e-bike instant connection before anybody else and posted a thread. He scrapes e-bike data, and he found the only e-bike that had gone from that part of the city, and he said exactly where he went. I follow it in real time. Really interesting stuff.
Huh.
So what do you guys think in general? Like, obviously no one should get shot in cold blood. Like, we all agree on that, I think. But
that's a hell of a way to frame a conversation.
Well, I just think, I wonder though, like,
to be assassinated.
Look, this is the French Revolution. It's the same spirit of the French Revolution. You have
more.
Well, you had the minds of the French Revolution were Rousseau and Voltaire were the two big minds, and they had this weird view on freedom, which was freedom and equality and liberty in life, which was like, you guys don't know how important life and freedom is. We're going to kill you and enslave you to make the point. And so it was like, if you're not on our side, then you're in our way, and we'll do anything we can do that we need to do to get you out of our way. It's the same revolutionary spirit, which, rightly understood, is always a bad thing.
Always. It's like Peacemaker on HBO, John Cena, who's like, I need peace, and I don't care how many women and children I have to kill to get it. Like, it's like so. Thank you, Wally, for correctly pointing out I did not frame that right. But like, what I'm trying to do is, like, there are people out there right now who think that was a justified killing. I've seen
a lot of them.
And I'm like, there's no such thing as a justified killing. There's justice and there's a process, but there's no such thing as a justified killing if it's not war, is my point. And it's not war. He was in New York City and this guy was just trying to go to a conference. So
Yeah, that's crazy.
No, here you're 100% correct.
Healthcare guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was pretty.
What's that?
Did you have something to add to that, Wally?
I'm sorry, I got distracted. I lost my train of thought. I apologize.
Oh no, I'm sorry, Wally.
No. I just thought it was a fascinating story because you can understand the ideologues and you can understand their where this storyline is going. And my concern is that this is the first step in multiples in response to the results of the last election, which is a terrifying thing to think. But I don't think it's that big of a leap. Do you? I mean, I don't.
It's certainly not a big leap, and you already see similar eruptions. I mean, it's the same spirit that someone throws tomato soup at a Van Gogh.
It's
Yeah.
It's your world has wrecked everything, and I fundamentally have an antipathy towards your world. It can't be reformed.
No,
It needs to die.
to burn. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's scary. It's scary because you can't reason with people like that. Like, right,
You can't.
sit down and have a debate. The mind's made up. It's
Yeah.
already, they're already at war.
Mhm. Well, I mean, when you understand the Marxist mind, which is history comes in a series of circles, the dialectic of history. There's a antithesis and a thesis, and the antithesis will always overcome the thesis, creating a new antithesis, so on and so forth, ad infinitum, until the communist ideal. I mean, that's like Marxism 101. It's
Right.
like they're like these, the bourgeois, the proletariat, there's always these conflicts, and it must necessarily be violent. I mean, there's no, you can't parlay from a Marxist standpoint. You can't parlay with the power, because the means of parlaying is itself established by those in power.
Exactly.
And so anytime that you participate in the game, you are participating in those who own the rules. And so the only way out of it is violence. You must be violent.
So basically, Tim, what you're telling me is that the world we live in is the WWE. So
That's fantastic.
Everything results. Every single conflict is resolved in the ring.
That's exactly right, man. And I don't know who mankind is, but I am on his side.
Yeah, that's interesting. So the killer's still on the loose, I'm guessing.
He's still.
They found his backpack. They think he left New York, and they don't know much else. I don't think.
He flirted with some girl.
Say that again, Wally.
The picture you saw? Do you see the picture of him with the mask pulled down, and he was
Flirting.
at the time? Yeah.
So they identified him. They know who he is.
No, they have no idea. No.
That's the thing. What if like in a weird world, right? What if he pulled down his mask to flirt with that woman, and she was the one who showed him, like, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do this awful thing. Like, wouldn't that be great?
That would be nice.
Yeah, human interaction can change a lot of things. but-
Changes everything. Human
And I'd love-
interaction and
and I'd
interaction.
love to own a unicorn.
What's that, Molly?
And I'd love to own a unicorn.
I'm just saying, like, how great
Yeah.
would that have been?
Hey, I don't know. I don't blame you. This is the same guy who thought that 68-yard field goal was going to go through. So,
Optimism's a good thing, man. The world could use a lot more of it.
It does. But Wally, you said you had two things. What's the other thing?
I'm a little concerned about the Koreas. I texted Nate about this earlier, about what's going on over in South Korea. Like, when that came up, like, I always, and again, this is probably my ignorance more than anything, but I viewed South Korea as a fairly stable democracy. I didn't realize they were that unstable, Nate.
I mean, it seems like there's some instability, but they are actually pretty stable. They've been for the.
I don't know. Martial law was declared this week.
Not great. Not fucking great.
I think I think that's kind of an overreaction, just based off the accusations that the person, again, the leader that declared martial law, is just saying that there's some North Korean influence within their government. So, I mean, that does seem disturbing, but it all, honestly, in the game of espionage and the things that we see in movies now, all those things that we've watched movies on as spy games and all that stuff, like that stuff really exists. So it's very easy to corrupt somebody that's in power with anything that's either more power or money. And if it's government officials, like, again, it's just easy for that to happen, for that influence to happen. It just takes some sort of trigger, and somebody that's willing to pull the trigger, and that trigger is not necessarily something about a gun. It's, North Korea. There's followers, there's sympathizers for North Korea that live in South Korea and have lived there for decades. And
That's crazy to me.
there are probably people that are willing to do whatever for the cause, right? So if that means, again, like finding a trigger point on somebody that's a government official, whether it's their kids that have drug habits, I don't know, any kind of leverage like that is something that truly exists. I mean, but I think it's, I mean, I hope it doesn't, boil over. I think martial law we see martial law as a serious thing. I don't know how serious their government sees it. If it were to happen here, we're built different. Like, we would think that our freedoms are being taken away and like we need to fight. But over there, I would not be surprised where they're more involved with the government, and the people in the military will take care of us, almost like, I don't like to use the term, but Arabic people. And when we were in Iraq and Afghanistan, it was always inshallah, like God willing, these things will happen, or good things will happen, and if God wills it. Like, that was their response to everything. Like,
yeah,
not like, and the question would be, are you going to have a good crop this year for your for produce? Oh, inshallah. Not like, no, what I really want you to do is tell me what you're going to do to produce a good crop. Like, tell me the steps, the agricultural things that you need to do, and the resources that you need. And they're just like, oh, inshallah. Anyway, but I feel like the temperament of the people over there are just, it's probably very different than us. We hear martial law, and that's probably why the term was used on the news. Like, we hear it, and it's kind of like a very eye-opening and like serious thing if that were to happen here, like especially in this nation. Not the president declaring martial law in like New York City only. Like, right. Even if that happened because of like an outbreak or something, and things need to be contained.
When the government's blocking, when the military's blocking access to the parliament, I mean, that's not just small. That's no small thing, right? I mean, even in South Korea, I got to imagine. Now you're turning your military against its own people to a certain extent. Or at least that's the first step in doing so, right?
For sure.
Yeah, but what's the American military stance over there right now?
Right now they're pissed. They're upset. Oh, sorry, Wally, go ahead.
No, I haven't heard. I was saying I haven't heard.
I'll tell you right now. Yeah. The American stance is like, what the heck did you do? Why would you do that? And so he actually apologized today. That the president over there was like, my bad, because America and other United Nations are looking at him and going like, this is exactly what you're not supposed to do. This is the exact opposite of what you're supposed to do. You just made yourself look like North Korea. What are you doing? And so
I'm reading that now. He apologized for declaring martial.
Yeah. So politically, that's kind of my jam.
So I guess
apologize. It's all forgotten.
Well, no, I mean,
the bridge.
Sure, it is, and it is in the people that read the news. Like, yeah, but I just say, like, our military stance and posture didn't change throughout this thing.
Oh, yes, it did. Actually, no. For a few days, they said, unless it is absolutely necessary, do not leave your posts. Well, yeah. So the American military over there was an order that basically said, do not leave your post, do not do anything unless it's absolutely necessary. I think that's kind of calmed down now.
Yeah, but I mean, that happened a bunch of times while I was there in the 90s. Like, that's not anything. By posture, I mean, like, they didn't alert the entire 25th Division and like, we're all issuing weapons, you're all on standby, and we're at DEFCON, 2, whatever that is.
Nothing like that happened.
Yeah, that is stringent. Now, the Korean military was postured, I'm sure, because the North Korean military was supposedly cited maneuvering towards the border, or like at least manning. They had a well-defined populace of the military on the border, like not the normal numbers that they did. Not that they were moving in, but they were just like posturing, like military games. What's your response if we do this? So,
Yeah, nothing like that.
The South.
but yeah, I thought that was. I don't know. I just wonder. It would be kind of cool to be there during this, just to see how it was all handled, especially
I
from
agree.
our side, from the American military side, because we're the only thing that's going to stop them from being annihilated
Mhm.
by North Korea if something happens. Like that was always our war game scenario was like, well, we're just a speed bump. We're a speed bump. We're hoping to stop them from getting to the capital, but all things considered, it's just one division against millions and millions of North Korean soldiers. So what can we do if they
with nukes.
if they decide to show force? Well, that would just be we would just be constantly retrograding until we hit the coast, and then by that time, hopefully we've held them off enough to will be reinforced by the coast for whoever else is coming from Washington and Hawaii.
From what I remember, the whole thing in South Korea had something to do with the investigations that were going on.
Yeah, for the I don't know if it's a presidential vote, but the last vote that they had,
it was something like that. There was people getting in the way of that, and I think sort of the larger lesson for the world or for us, and I think particularly for us, is when the weaponization of justice against political opponents. And I don't know what you guys think about that, but there's certainly, I think, a strong case to be made that the Department of Justice was weaponized against Donald Trump by what do you want to call it, the Joe Biden's administration, which more likely the Obama administration, and the lack of faith in those institutions and how deleterious it is when that happens, because those people are not elected officials. Those are appointees who are loyal to the people who appointed them.
Yep.
Yeah, I would say the Department of Justice, going back multiple decades, has been weaponized, and it doesn't matter if it's Democrat, Republican. And just this is a hot topic these days, so I'm going to say this out loud. I cannot believe that Joe Biden was like, yeah, I'll pardon my son right now. And I get it. I'm going to let you know, I will pardon my son all day long, every day for the rest of my life. Like whatever the fuck he does, I'm good. Like I pardon him if I have that power. But to say over and over again, you wouldn't do it because you don't want to be like Donald Trump, and then just do it.
Ouch.
What did you do? What are you doing?
Especially after, as Tim just so eloquently said, there's the perception that he's been persecuting the Trumps.
Exactly. What are you doing?
He preemptively pardons his family after saying for the last 4 years he would never consider doing that. There's
also
layers to this thing that is really hard to defend, as I consider myself a left of center person. Like I'm also a an honest person, right? You're like stuff to defend decisions like that, because you're like, look, man, like I want to defend you here. Just give me something, fucking anything.
Can someone help me here? Why was it specifically 11 years?
Well, it's interesting you say that. Curiously, it's the amount of time that Hunter Biden was working in Ukraine and allegedly collecting large piles of cash for 10%, which was kept in escrow for the big guy, which heretofore has remained a mystery, a profound mystery. So, I mean, a lot of the talk seems to be centered around, well, Biden wasn't really pardoning Hunter; he was pardoning himself.
Yep. This is what, Wally, this is why people love Trump, and we are fucked.
Yeah, Biden's got a year and a half left. I mean, pardon whatever. Like, he's not going to last any sort of prosecution.
No. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's not.
Well, I mean, and this, again, the larger, what happens to the peaceful transfer of power when political opponents are afraid that they're going to be prosecuted or imprisoned if they lose an election.
Yeah,
right?
I mean that's fair conversation, but I think you can have concerns about the peaceful transfer of power in both directions, right?
Oh, absolutely. I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm saying, like,
Never.
generally, what happens to the. I mean, like, so before 1775, there were. I think I said this before. There were 0 countries who had the word democratic
Yep.
in their name,
Yep.
and now there's a lot, and it's because of us. It's because of America, and because of the way that we establish our government, and one of those is the peaceful transfer of power. And so, what happens when Sweden stops making Swedish meatballs? Like who are
Well,
there's
what
no
happens what happens if in the event that crimes are actually committed, like just because you were president and are no longer president, does that absolve them any guilt they may have incurred for actions they did while they were president? You know what I mean?
Well, if you remember, that was the big hullabaloo over the most recent Supreme Court case. Not the most recent, but the one that was maybe a few months back, when people were saying that this is just going to allow presidents to kill whoever they want in office and have wash their hands afterwards. And that was one of the, I think that was the over exaggeration of what that Supreme Court ruling actually said. But the at least the perception that we get is that that's the case, that presidential immunity means they can do whatever the hell they want. Now, in actual fact, it means if they break a law that we civilians like you and I would be would be jailed for, but they do it in the course of office in order to, it's part of the job, that they do have immunity from that, but not from like Trump couldn't shoot some guy and then have presidential immunity.
So could he, for instance, make a phone call to the Secretary of State in Georgia to try to use his influence to exert influence on the outcome of the election? Could he do so with immunity? In the United States. And so the problem I have is that I feel like I'm hearing the argument saying that he can do that and be immune from his actions, and I strongly disagree with that.
Right. I mean, I was listening to the Supreme Court case when it happened, so my memory's a little fuzzy, but there were basically 3 areas. There was like the obvious stuff that's in line with the president's duties that he has immunity from. Like if Biden today had to declare a drone strike on somebody, and I couldn't do that or I'd be in jail.
Sure.
But he can do that. And then there's the stuff that is clearly out of the picture, which is if Biden shoots somebody right now, he does not have immunity for that. And then there's a bunch of the stuff in the middle, which
Uh-oh. Is it 9 o'clock? Did his internet cut off? I think so.
stupid. Yeah.
Sorry, you froze up. You froze up there for a second.
Yeah, we thought your internet was cutting off at 9 like it usually does.
Oh, it's not 9 yet, so I'm good.
Still good. All right, keep going. You said there's a middle between like Biden doing a drone strike and killing somebody.
Yeah. It's the middle stuff, which, like what Wally said, is, well, what about a president calling someone in Georgia, the Secretary of State, and saying don't certify an election or whatever? Yeah, I think that probably falls in that gray area, which I personally think was a stupid move and led to probably losing a couple Senate seats in Georgia, personally. But
well, also he didn't say.
In fact, if there is no law, that should be a criminal act. If as a sitting, and I don't care what level you are, if you're trying to exert influence on the outcome of the election, there should be some sort of protections against that, because you're imbued certain powers as an elected official, and that should not be able to be used to influence the election process. There ought to be some sort of safeguard against that.
It's pretty goddamn simple. We're a democracy. The people vote, like this vote. Trump won. There's no question. So now we have to deal with that.
Well, I think it is complicated by the fact.
Oh,
Oh, damn it, we lost him again.
I'm like really important parts of the sentence.
And then we lose him.
Am I back?
You're back.
yeah.
All right. My wife
You
took
keep
me.
saying like something profound, like right in the cusp of something that sounds like it's going to be profound, and you pause up on us.
Okay. I don't know. What was I saying?
The 2020 election.
Oh yeah. Wait, what was I saying?
Oh, his
Yes.
wife's reminding him.
So the 2020 election, I mean, this is a whole can of hellish worms to open, which I don't necessarily want to do, but it was a little sus, if you know what I mean. I mean, laws changed at the last second, these extended voting things streaming in. We've all seen the memes, and I'm personally, I think in retrospect, I think it's fantastic that Trump lost the 2020 election. Because he couldn't have won the 2024 election and the Senate and the House and have his pick of the litter as far as appointments go. So in retrospect, it's really good, in my opinion. But all that to say is there was a lot of sus things going on in 2020 that I think were.
Can I ask him?
Language on your mouth.
What's that?
Wyatt's mad at me because I use the word sus, and it's his lingo.
Oh yeah, you're too old for that, Tim. You can't use that.
That's cap, bro.
You can't use that, bro.
No cap. No cap.
No, I would say this, Tim, and I always take the responsibility, because you are wildly smart, as I've always said. I always take the responsibility and look at where my information comes from. And so when you say we all know, I would challenge that. We don't all know that these things happen. We don't all know that this is the reality of the world. I have not heard that much about laws changing at the very end, and I would love you to send me some stuff so I could see it. But I will also vigorously research the sources that you got that from, because it's one of those things where, like, I get very concerned when any one person decides they are more important than everything else. And in my humble opinion, the guy that's going to take office right now, he won legitimately. Like, no doubt, he won legitimately. Like, he gets to do what he wants, I guess. But in my opinion, one person being above everybody else is always a problem.
Well, I mean, yes, I agree with you. And I don't. I'm not a Trump sycophantic kind of.
Get that.
Apologies.
I didn't hire a preacher to be my president. You know, it's he's a human who has done some pretty nefarious things. I think, like Victor David Hansen said, Trump is like chemotherapy. He kills the bad things before he kills the country. And so,
He also
I think that was his first term.
That's pretty good.
And so I'm not waving a. I don't have a Trump bumper sticker. I don't have a MAGA hat. I'm a realist when it comes. I'm glad Trump's elected, but I understand that this is, from my perspective, this is a 4-year breathing room. That's all. Nothing has been solved. I do not trust in princes.
I appreciate that.
Well, said. That last statement, well said.
Well, it's from the Bible, so.
Well, I feel the same way about Biden. I was like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Right. Well, it's because we're New Hampshireites, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, we are live for your dyers. So we don't, even if we really like a politician, we're like, who, you think you're better than me? Like Adam Sandler, Happy Gilmore. Totally.
Good shit right there. Scroll. That's great stuff right there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really love the New Hampshire spirit. Like we have this libertarian spirit, even if we're Republican or Democrat, that I think is still there, which I think is great.
I will say this, and I have to say this because I saw it today and I made a comment on it. The New Hampshire Libertarian leader wrote, "If you can't afford to pay for your cancer treatments, you should die." Look it up. That's straight truth. He wrote that. And I was like, are you kidding? Like, I'm not trying to get too involved in politics because, like, there's no good outcome, like, when you start to, like, fight. But that one made me kind of upset.
Yeah. I mean that's a shocking statement, but I will say, interesting. Tim brought up New Hampshire's independence streak.
Yeah.
New Hampshire's politics have always fascinated me because we routinely vote Republican down. We have a very conservative state legislature, very conservative state legislature. And we always send liberal Democrats to Washington, like in terms of the House of Representatives in the Senate, and almost always routinely have a Republican. We're coming off a 5-term Republican governor. Like it's such a weird vote.
It really is.
So many people that vote split ticket. Almost everyone I know votes one way or the other. Yeah. Rarely do they vote split. Yet for decades now, we've been sending Democrats to Washington and voting Republican in the state legislature. It's the weirdest fucking dynamic I've ever seen.
It makes sense to me.
How does it make sense to you? Explain it to me, because I've never made sense.
So like I lived in Massachusetts, right? And I made just throw out some random numbers. I make $65,000 a year in Massachusetts. I come to New Hampshire, I make $58,000 a year, but I take home the same amount of money. As it's the economy, stupid. Like that's what they always say, right? Like so New Hampshire has done a great job of if you live here and you own property, you're gonna pay out the ass. You are, because you're a property owner. But otherwise, they're not going to do income tax. They're not going to do sales tax. And so that feels good. Like live free or die. That feels good. That's the issue, right? But on social policies, we love one another and we want to see that like we're all good. We can make choices. And then that's the liberal side of us. So it's very confusing.
So oh, go ahead, Wally.
No, please.
I have to jet, but I want to.
It's almost time.
Yeah,
for all of us.
But this kind of ties into the New Hampshire thing, and I really do want to give this more thought. But over Thanksgiving, when my family was all doing stuff, I would burn things. Wood burn, burn into wood, and I like to make signs, and one of the signs that I was making over Thanksgiving was Logres, Logres, and Logres is the it's the name for like mythical Arthurian England. It's like the true spirit of England, and I got it from it's a pretty old word, but I was introduced to it through a C.S. Lewis book. You've heard of C.S. Lewis, like Chronicles of Narnia.
Of course we have. We all read that shit.
Yeah. He has a science fiction trilogy called Out of the Silent Planet, and the particular book that I learned it from is called That Hideous Strength. So in this book, basically, you have Logres, which is that mythical spirit of England, coming up against the technocratic Britain of bureaucracy, and it's exemplified in some really creepy ways. But he also says that every nation has like the true mythical spirit of what that is, and there's always going to be a fight between that true mythical spirit and the technocratic bureaucracy that kind of like cancerously grows around it. And And in my opinion, New Hampshire is, and I'm slightly biased, exemplifies in its motto that mythical spirit of America, the Logers of America, which is live free or die. And it's always going to have these perennial battles with the technocratic, oppressive bureaucracy, people who just want to get into your bedroom and tell you how far apart to put the drywall screws. And
I thought that was going in a different direction, but
they want to get to that bedroom.
But there's always this battle, and we experience that battle. No, live free or die. This is the spirit of America, the pioneering, entrepreneurial, do it yourself kind of spirit, as opposed to this nannying, bureaucratic, breastfeeding bureaucary. And so I made that sign, Logers, and I'm hanging it in our sunroom account we have a lot of our gatherings in, because I want my house to be an exemplification of the spirit of Logers, the spirit of America, whatever that true spirit is, however you want to define it. And I interestingly, I think my home state and our home state is probably one of the best mottos and spirits that represents the American ideal.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm a proud New Hampshire boy. I will say this. For a long time, I think we could all agree, I felt rejected by New Hampshire, but in all reality, I was so accepted by New Hampshire. I just had to figure it out. And then when I did, I will never leave this place. I love it here. New Hampshire is my home. And I'm proud that my kids live here. They get to grow up here. It's great stuff. Nothing against any other state, by the way. Nothing against any other state. I'm just personally happy that we live here.
Yeah, we're just south of vacation land, man.
I mean, you are. I know.
You are. Maine is vacation land.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's not.
Well, I hate to drop a mic and run, but I got a jet.
No need. Thanks,
all right, guys,
buddy.
All right, I'll see you guys later.
Thanks for hanging on, man. Appreciate it,
man. We'll talk to you later. Appreciate it.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.
Nate, what?
Go ahead, Wally. What were you saying?
No, go ahead. What's up next?
I wanted to know what you were saying. What were you going to ask?
I was going to ask you actually what's up next on the topics.
We're going into. I wanted to look at the standings currently as it shows. The Patriots are fourth from last, which means they'd be drafting fourth. Let me pull it up again and see where it's at.
It's crazy to me. It's even crazy to me this is still a Patriot-centric podcast when we have a team like the Boston Celtics.
I know. I get it. I get it.
Set all-time records here. But let's keep talking with the last place team in the AFC East.
Yeah, let's. Hey. It's in the spirit of Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is football-centric. You eat turkey.
We talked the episode.
Football, and you guys stood me up on.
Yeah, I know that was
on Friday. So
I was so Chet when you started.
That's my fault. All my fault.
We can't get in. We still can't get in. So I was sitting down here in my basement with my background all set up, but I couldn't. I was on the same page you were on, Nate.
You said you were having connectivity issues, Wally.
That was my.
Well, that's what it was. It's probably it's probably my fault. It's probably my fault.
That's not connectivity issues. That's just where the host won't let me join. I was thinking your connectivity issues was
45 minutes in. If I'm not connected, I'm going to bed.
Well, I agree with you. I was on the same page for sure.
My fault. It's all my fault.
But you said you had connectivity issues. I was thinking, well, I can't even ask him to host the Zoom, and we do just him and I do one.
No.
Anyway, so right now the Giants, the Raiders, and the Jaguars are ahead of us in the standings. I feel like the majority of them will probably stay ahead of us. I don't see any of us winning another game, to be honest with you. We got a chance, I think, but The other three, probably not. Definitely not the Giants. So let's assume
What chance do we have to win? What game? We had the Bills twice.
the Chargers.
No, we have no chance to win that.
Hey, man.
They're starting to play better football too.
I think we have anyway. We got a chance. There's a chance that the Bills or the Chargers have things locked up, and we're playing against second string guys.
Oh, okay, fair enough. You're right. If we play like the second stringers,
Yeah.
I will say this though: the Jaguars. Mac Jones is out there like trying to prove he's still a starting quarterback in the NFL. Like we'll see.
We probably have the record. Our podcast would have been taping for about a year now. Are we coming up on a year? Like how long have we been taping for?
Sometime after April last year, we decided to do this.
Yeah, it was after the draft. So
okay, I think we have the record for the most times the name Mac Jones has been said on any podcast in the history of podcasts, because his name comes up at least once a week, and it's not
fault. It's my fault.
not relative to the talent he has because he doesn't have any talent.
yeah, he's not doing much better than Trevor Lawrence. So the Giants. Let's say the Giants are gonna.
Low. Trevor Lawrence. I mean, that hit was nasty.
Oh,
my God, nasty.
That's football, man. I'm sorry. Like
Football.
the
He
kid-
locked up.
Oh no, he was knocked out. Like that was a knockout. Not like I'm concussing him woozy. He was.
That
It
bad.
was a dirty headhunt hit.
That was lights out. Yeah. I mean, hey, again, those things are good. I really believe the more, and I think you guys heard Tom Brady's take on that hit and the reason
Yep,
why I
heard
am on
him.
that.
Yep.
Like, you know, if you're going to do more design runs and put your quarterback in harm's way, there's a good chance that those things are going to happen. And when we get into the playoffs, all it takes is one hit. And, like, it doesn't need to be that. I honestly don't think that was bad timing, right? But the defender did what he's supposed. He went high on the hit, but when the quarterback did slide late, he should have slid earlier. And again, the defender is there to defend the yard gain marker, right? Like the first down marker. I don't want you to. This is where I put my foot down. You're not coming past here, and you flirt with disaster. You know, the longer you wait to slide. So I feel like it was a late slide, but
You think he deserved it?
I don't. Not the hit. No, no one deserves to get knocked out. Like, you know.
Read between the lines here, trying to connect the dots.
No one deserves to
Oh
get
my
knocked
God.
out, but I mean, I mean, obviously he's not coming out and saying it was a dirty hit. I don't think it was a dirty hit. It was a little high, but I don't like the defender was trying to tackle him, and
He
he
got suspended 3 games. He got suspended 3 games in the NFL for a hit. I mean,
yeah, I think that's too much. Honestly, I think the only reason why I was suspended 3 games was because his coach came out and defended the play before the suspension was named, as far as what it was.
dirty. It was a headhunting hit. He did exactly what he set out to do. He was trying to put him out of the game, and he succeeded.
He was he wasn't trying to tackle him. He was trying to hit him for sure. That was a physical altercation. Like that is what defenders do. That's what defenders do. I mean, I would want a defender wearing the Patriots uniform to do that. I would be.
What their expectations are as it pertains to player safety. If you're not with it, if you don't understand it now in the NFL, then this isn't 5 years ago. This isn't 10 years ago. They've made it abundantly clear that headhunting will not be tolerated in any way, shape, or form. Like that's a non-starter anymore.
Yeah, I mean the suspension shows that, right? Like,
Yeah.
but I don't think that it was as egregious as everybody's saying. You know, but that's just me. Like I think it was more of a bang bang.
The forearm is the problem for me.
I disagree.
Yeah, the forearm was the problem. Like hell with a helmet, like on accident. I can see that. He slammed his forearm into his face. That's the issue.
Yeah, sure. I mean, again, I think the defender didn't go after him trying to knock him out. He was trying to be physical with him for sure and be intimidating. I mean, that's if you take that instinct away from a defender, then we're out there playing touch. So, like, I want to keep players safe. But why? he could have got down 2 yards before that, and then then it wouldn't have been an issue. Then the defense
I get that.
would have plenty of time.
I do get that what you're saying. Like, it's football, right? It's football. So at some point you have to be like, is it not okay to like tackle somebody because their hip bone is going to be whatever? But we figured out CTE, so that's the good news. So, like, we figured out that. The next part is like, how do you tackle somebody and our quarterback's taking advantage of the rules to the point that it gives your team an advantage over the other team? I get all that. I get it all. But the dude slammed his forearm into him, right? You saw that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's say Trevor Lawrence doesn't slide. Why wouldn't he go head first?
Oh, if
Like,
he goes
then he wouldn't have been hit. He wouldn't have been hit in a compromising position to be concussed. He would have been driven to the ground, yeah, but he would have been already on the ground. The forearm probably wouldn't have come up into his head. Like, I mean, he slid and gave himself up, and then yes, he was hit by a defender. But I mean,
I do get it, Nate. Like, it's hard for a defender right now because you're like, how do I do my job? How do I do it well? How do I become elite? If every time I hit
yeah,
somebody,
what am I getting paid to do? I shouldn't be questioning what I'm getting paid to do as I'm doing it. Like,
I actually do understand that. It's just
oh, come on. Like, again, this is nothing new. This is not a new rule change. This has been years in the making. If you're an elite NFL player playing at an elite level, this is 101 shit. You cannot headhunt quarterbacks. I mean, this is negotiable. Like, if it's even close now, if you chest bump them, they're throwing the flag. Let alone for a forearm shiver at his face coming at 100 miles an hour. What are we talking about?
he wasn't a quarterback. He was a runner.
No justification for it. It was. You can say what you want. You and I both know exactly how the NFL feels about that. And if you're an NFL linebacker and you don't know that, you get no business in the league. It's abundantly clear. You're throwing a fucking elbow shiv at Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott, and Jalen Hurts. They're going to toss you out of the game. They're more important than you are.
Well, let's look at a tail of the tape real quick. Just out of the blue. Trevor Lawrence. Let's see, where is he at? Trevor Lawrence is 6'4", if not higher. I'm trying to see how big the dude is.
You're trying to justify that hit. You're trying to tell me it's a clean hit. I mean, come on, what are we watching? Pull it up on the screen. This is bullshit. He threw a forearm shiver at his head.
Sure did. He sure did.
Knocked the guy unconscious.
Oh man.
You see it now, Nate?
Said I don't know. I'm trying to see
what.
I think. I mean, I'm on the fence about it. A forearm shiver, sure. If that's what you determine it being a headhunting play, like, I mean, I want to know how big he is and how big the defender is, and if it's not a case of bullying. Like, I mean, again, the decision on Trevor Lawrence to slide, I don't really understand, because he slid after the first down. He should have slid before that. Like, I mean, it was just bad timing on Trevor Lawrence's part, and that doesn't justify, again, should he have not used a forearm up into the head and neck area. Sure.
But I agree with you. I mean, he slid late. No argument. You're 100% right.
He slid late.
Brady made some comment about there should be a penalty for that. There should be some sort of consequence.
Oh, yeah. Brady was like
there. And if Brady says it, then, I mean, what are you going to say? I'm not going to argue with God.
Tom Brady. No, Tom Brady even said, like Josh Allen, he pointed out Trevor Lawrence, like, you run like that, you put yourself out there. It's his way of saying you're going to get hit.
I think it's crazy they put him on IR, though, but which means he's probably not going to – his season's over. And
Because they love Mac Jones. That's why.
Yeah, sure. All right. So New York Giants right now are currently last play. They would have the first pick. Who do you think the Giants would be taking with the first pick?
Hunter.
In the
No. I take that back.
Giants need a quarterback. They're taking Shedeur Sanders.
What's that, Wally?
The Giants are going to take a quarterback. They're going to take Shedeur Sanders with the number 1 pick.
Fair enough.
You think so?
I do. Well, who do you think?
Oh, I think it's definitely going to be a quarterback, but I wonder if they trade down because of the quarterback class and the need and who needs a quarterback. You look at the Raiders of the top 4, the Raiders and the Giants are the ones that need quarterbacks. The quarterback at Oregon's doing pretty good, man. And there's a quarterback in Denver that played at Oregon last year that is doing pretty good.
But Bo Nix?
Yeah, but Dylan Gabriel is the guy that's in Oregon this year, and he's what is their record? Are they undefeated? No, they have 1 loss, just like the Longhorns, but they're ranked number 1. I don't know if he's a better prospect. I think the time will tell, and they'll go through all their combine stuff, and I'm sure him and the top 2 quarterbacks will be Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, and I'm sure neither one of them will throw at the combine. They might go through some stuff, but it'll just be interesting to see. I don't know I honestly don't know, because Dion has been vocal about his son getting into a good position. So if draft position is an indication of that, then I don't think Dion would want Shedeur to go to New York. Very much like a Eli Manning situation to the Chargers, And I don't think that he's gonna want them. He'll be verbal about don't draft my son.
He certainly will. Yeah, he certainly will.
And the Raiders pick second.
I'm on CBSSports.com right now. They're projecting next year's NFL draft. There's 2 guys, 1, 2, 3. One's got Travis Hunter at number 1, and they've got his position labeled as athlete, which I think is awesome.
I do too. That's great. That's great.
Yeah, because he plays both ways. That's how
ATA. Yeah. Travis Hunter. They've got Shedeur Sanders 2, Cam Ward 3. Cam Ward's the quarterback out of Miami.
Yeah.
And then wide receiver Tetarosa McMillan going to the Patriots at 4. This other guy's got Cam Ward going number 1, Shedeur Sanders 2. So both guys have Shedeur Sanders. He's got Travis Hunter, the athlete, going 3. And Kelvin Banks Jr., an offensive tackle, going to the Patriots at 4.
Man, we love it.
What college? What college is he from?
Texas.
Can't go wrong with Texas.
We definitely need a tackle, but
6'4", 320. Birthplace Humble, Texas.
Oh, I like that. 6'4", 320. Let's go. Let's get that guy. Whoever he is, let's get him.
We need a couple of them, though. That's the problem.
That's fine. We start with 1. That's good.
I mean, yeah. Anybody, I would take anybody on the Texas offensive line over the guys that we have right now.
Yeah.
And I would love to see them draft the Patriots with all their picks, draft the entire offensive line of the Texas Longhorns, because I think they're all seniors. 4 of the 5, I think, are seniors. So it'd be kind of cool to see, but. Anyway, I just wanted to get you guys' input on that. It'd be interesting because I think Shedeur recently posted something on Instagram or TikTok or Twitter that he was driving by the Raiders Stadium in Las Vegas, and he tweeted something about that, and the Raiders had the second pick. And
both of those guys have him going at 2.
Oh yeah, number 2 to the Raiders, or just
Yeah.
number 2 draft position number 2.
Two to the Raiders.
What do you think? Do you think? Well, let's assume that the Jaguars are going to fire their coach at the end of the season and move on from Doug Peterson. Do you think they move on from Trevor Lawrence? Do you think there's a market for Trevor Lawrence if they wanted to trade him and then go with a new quarterback, like in the draft?
I think Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback. Like, I mean, I feel like
a good quarterback.
I feel like when healthy, he runs well, he throws well. Like, and has people around him. He's a good NFL quarterback. So his career is not over yet. In the right situation, I think he could do some real damage. But I like the problem I have is how many times do you see a guy knocked unconscious before you say, like, maybe you need to retire? And that's the real conversation. Like, if you're starting, it's just a tough thing to watch. It's a tough thing to watch.
Yes.
He was knocked out. That's a clean knockout. The bad ones are the ones that you are woozy and like try and get up from, and that's a CTE kind of thing. Like, you know, he was knocked out like a fighter. Like, he was done.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
the lights were off. Like, that's the way to get knocked out if you're going to get knocked out.
He's out cold.
But man, so there's a stat around there that, and I'm surprised Chet hasn't heard about this or researched this. So if Mac Jones throws for 6 touchdowns in the last 4 games of the season, he will equal the same number as Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, let's go.
And Trevor Lawrence has like literally touchdown to interception ratio is like almost identical. So they both came out in the same class. I mean, one's getting paid 60-something million, the other one's getting paid peanuts. So that's why I asked the question. Like,
I would love to get
is he? I think the real question is he, as of right now, has he earned the money that he, you know, is being paid? And the answer is no. But like, is there a market for it? Since they are drafting top 3 and they have an opportunity to reset that contract, there is a potential. I feel like there is. He's still young enough and still has enough potential as far as where we see his ceiling going, that there'd be a market for him. Like, let's say, you know, the Raiders want to trade.
That's exactly the Raiders. The Raiders
want to trade that pick for Trevor Lawrence, and they swap picks, or they're willing to take on that contract. Or again, let me look at the standings. And again, it's pure speculation, but I mean, it's kind of crazy to think it's not far off base. I mean, again, when we look at the standings, let's go further down than the Patriots. Like the Jets, they need to figure something out. The Cleveland Browns, they have the same record as the Patriots, so there's a big lump of 3-win teams. Like Cleveland Browns need to figure out a quarterback. Let's say the Jaguars trade Trevor Lawrence to the Cleveland Browns. Well, they can't take on all that money, and they got to figure out Deshaun Watson's situation. But I mean, it's just crazy to think that the Jacksonville Jaguars have paid their quarterback, and they're still drafting number 3 overall because they're not that good. So
they're not that good. Unless they let Mac Jones start and let it up.
It's crazy.
Nothing there.
I didn't hear. I mean, Mac Jones. They could continue paying Mac Jones peanuts, and he could produce the same numbers. I mean, that's what the past is telling us.
There's not an NFL team there's not a team in the CFL that wants Mac Jones next. Like, if you're going into next year with Mac Jones as their starting quarterback, you're not excited about the year. I mean, say what you want about him. Like, there's not a team in the NFL that would be like, all right, Jones, yeah, let's rally around Mac Jones. Nope. But I think Trevor Lawrence, on the other hand, in the right situation, people could rally around a guy like that.
Why? The numbers are identical, though. The numbers are identical.
No.
He's been to one player.
That's what I said.
They're literally identical in the sense where, again, Trevor Lawrence has taken a team to the playoffs and lost, just like Mac
Do
Jones.
you believe that it's a toss-up? If you could have, like, I flipped the coin over who's a better quarterback, is what you're telling me right now, and you believe that?
If I looked at their stats and I looked at their salary, I would see that one does not offset the other as the salary does. And
So-
but I would also say I felt like Trevor Lawrence, because of where he was drafted, because of his college career, he has more potential. But also, let's look at Doug Peterson as his coach. Doug Peterson won a damn Super Bowl with Nick Foles. And Nick Foles threw for over 400 yards in that Super Bowl. And oh, by the way, the guy that they beat threw for 500 yards, and the offense never punted. So the guy knows how to run an offense. So what's the hang up? If Nick Foles can take a team to the Super Bowl, where does that leave Trevor Lawrence and his ability?
Yeah.
What's the problem?
I got no problem.
No, I mean, what's the problem with Trevor Lawrence and everything that's going on down there?
I don't know. I don't know. Again, I'm just telling you how I feel. Maybe it's not backed up by statistical analysis, but if I watch Trevor Lawrence and I watch Mac Jones, I'd rather have Trevor Lawrence than Mac Jones. And unfortunately, I've watched a lot of Mac Jones. So that doesn't come from a casual observer. That comes from, and that probably, if I'm being honest, it's a little emotional because he stunk so bad for us for so long.
There's some emotional scars there for sure. But so let's also look at this. Like, let's say that they fire their coach. Do you think that's an attractive spot for Bill Belichick?
New England?
No.
No,
I'm involved. I thought you were talking about New England, and I was like, "What?"
Jacksonville is absolutely not an attractive spot.
He's not going to Jacksonville.
Why not?
I think you go to a team that's right on the cusp that is underperforming, something like that. I think is his best scenario.
I feel like that's the definition of Jacksonville. They're not on the cusp. They completely, bombed the season, but
they're a bottom 3 team.
Yeah, but look at their roster. You know what? They've literally drafted in the top 5 in the last decade. So they have some talent on the roster. They have a quarterback, as you said. As you said, they have a quarterback. Wouldn't that be of all the scenarios that you could think of Bill Belichick and the teams that would hire him? Wouldn't that be a good situation for Bill Belichick?
No, because he's like, oh, Mac Jones is my backup quarterback. No, thank you.
He would put him in as the starter, wouldn't he? And then make the special teams coach the offensive coordinator, and then just like, go ahead, guys. You guys have a good time.
I think Matt Patricia would be a great offensive coordinator for Jacksonville. That makes sense.
No, they're all going down to UNC together. Do you see Belichick interviewed for the North Carolina job?
I did. I don't think he's gonna. I don't think
that's not happening. But like, what a weird thing, though, right? Like, what is that?
I don't know.
I think it's just a way for him to get his name out there and let people know he's interested, and then hopefully he'll get some phone calls. Like, do you think he interviews for Chicago?
I'm not sure, Nate, but sometimes what I do is I just put my thing out there and say, "Who's interested?"
I'm not interested in your thing.
Huh?
I'm not interested in your thing.
I'm not interested in your thing either.
He just puts his thing out there to see who's interested. And I wanted it to be known that I'm not interested in his thing.
I'm glad we cleared this up. See? So now I know to move on to a new direction.
I've been trying to be clear in my communication lately. Sometimes I feel like I send mixed signals. So I'm trying to be more direct and be clear in my communication. So let me be clear. I'm not interested in your thing.
I understand it. I accept it. And I'm moving on in my life.
It's not personal.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's plenty of people interested in your thing. I'm not one of them.
It's not a flavor that I want to taste. I appreciate that though.
We should fire Gerard Mayo. We all agree.
No, I don't agree with that. there needs to be some coaching changes, but I don't think it's the head coach position. Like again, I you know I want to let's ask Chat GPT. Hey, Chat GPT, what are a head coach's responsibilities? Not that they're the end all be all and they know, but I mean, again, what are his responsibilities? He needs to manage. Well, first of all, during the game, it's clock management, right? Like that is the sole
Head coach, yeah.
reason why there's a head coach out there. Clock management,
Yep.
And to figure that out, to manage it right, and we're talking like 2-minute drills and timeouts, when to use them, when not to use them, as well as the coaching challenges. And then also you got to manage players, and then manage the coaches that you have on your staff, and develop your coaches that you have on your staff. I mean, of course, the coaches on his staff need a lot of development. There is not one coach on his staff that has called plays before. I'm sure none of them have had a head coaching position at any level. Like, so, yeah, I already said earlier, the defensive coordinator needs to go. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. We're 28th in the league. There's no reason for that. And the game plan hasn't really given us any confidence to think that things can improve.
It feels like a scapegoat answer. Our head coach is the defensive-minded head coach. If you don't think he's planned the intricacies of this defense, you're only fooling yourself. He comes from he's a linebacker who came up through the defensive side of the ball. Like, this is his defense. Make no mistakes about it. I think you're letting him hook easy.
So, do you think Robert Kraft should admit that he made a mistake in hiring him and fire him?
Jonathan. Yes.
Well, Robert Kraft hired him.
Jonathan. Chet's saying Jonathan's the
I know what he's saying.
I think so. Like, I think you got to sit down at the end of the year, see how these last few games go, do a critical analysis, talk to the players, talk to coaches, see where things lie. And if you're not confident in his ability to continue to build the team, then yeah, you got to make a change. I don't think they will. I don't think he's going to. Robert Kraft is not currently operating at full capacity, unfortunately. And I think that this may drag out a couple of years longer than it should.
Well, again, I don't know if it's longer than it should, but I wouldn't have hired him in the first place. I would have again, it's not my money, but the landscape of the NFL, it's an offensive league. I'm not saying you go out and, again, you don't know you have the next, whiz bang guy on offense until they are the next whiz bang guy on offense. But I would have hired an offensive minded coach and then let them build from there. But
I get it. I'm telling you, like, in my mind, my dream is that we're all together, families, all that stuff. We watch the Patriots again win the Super Bowl. That would be so awesome. What I'm watching now,
I want to bring back and normalize the use of whiz bang. I don't feel like we as a society use the term whiz bang enough, Nate. So thank you for saying that. And I want to say it more. My goal the next week is to say whiz bang 10 times conversationally.
I like this.
We should use that. I mean, we have the Riz. So we should be doing things like that and trending.
Whiz bang.
Yeah. Y'all know what Riz is, right?
Oh, shit.
I have no idea, but I'll pretend.
You got drip.
Okay. Speaking of Riz, the Celtics got the Riz. They had a good win tonight.
They did.
It's the Bucks.
We all watched it. We live cast on this podcast.
It was a full strength cast on the Bucks side. We didn't have Porzingis. The Celtics look good. I mean, again, I don't think at the end of the year. What?
We didn't have Porzingis.
Well, he just wasn't playing. He was resting.
Holy shit, that's like breaking news. We all have Porzingis. He's so reliable.
No, he's good. He's back. Like, listen, if we want to win a championship, I think we're going to need him.
Yeah.
This was it. This was injury management, a planned day off. It was fine. We're fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
We're still the best team in the NBA.
Yeah, no, we've got. I mean, so I'm sure you guys have heard it, but like the Porzingis and Jaylen Brown are called cookies and cream. I thought that was pretty funny, but the tandem, the pick and roll, and the things that they do, they call them cookies and cream. But I think the key to us, like you were saying, Wally, we now know we have a lot of depth at that position, so we need to like start stressing that and getting those same, or starting a platoon, so to speak, at our power forward and center positions, because we have Horford, Porzingis, Keita, Tillman, and then Cornette. And then if you want to throw in, as far as rotational guys that can give other guys a rest, like Peterson looks really good. Drew Peterson looks really good off the bench. I mean, he
really good's relative.
Well, for him, where was he drafted?
Yeah, for what he is.
I mean, yeah, he's a good role player. Like he's probably, I would put money that he's going to turn into the next Peyton Pritchard, and we drafted Pritchard, I believe. So
that's high praise.
Well, I mean, we drafted Pritchard,
well,
and Pritchard's not going to be with us for much longer. And honestly, Peterson is 8 inches taller, and it's just a bigger body. So I'd like to see them start platooning those guys. Huh?
You think he's going to be better than Pritchard?
I think he'll be as good. Yeah.
Okay, as good. I think Pritchard is a budding NBA, like borderline all-star. He's got a great handle, a great shot. Look what he's doing on a really good Celtics team right now. Like, he's won us a handful of games this year. He's averaging 16, 17. I think on a team, and that's a team, we have a team with 5, 6 guys that are better than him too. Well, I mean, at least on paper. This is a team with a lot of offense already ahead of him, and he has started to shine. He gets off big shots. He hits big shots. He's got as pure a shot as there is in the NBA right now. Tight handle. He's tenacious on D. Like, I am very high on Peyton Pritchard. Very, very high on Peyton Pritchard.
Oh, I am too. I think he's a product of the players around him as well. Like, all the things that you said, that's true. They're absolutely true, and I agree with you. But he's also getting more space because of the players that are on to shoot, because of the players on the court. He's also getting those passes when he's wide open because of the skill of the players on the court with him. If I were to pull him off the Celtics and put him on, any other team, I don't know how much playing time he gets.
Oh, no, I disagree.
I hope we don't have to see that, but at some point we will, because he's going to still want to get more money as his production continues to go up, his minutes continue to go up, and I think he's a really good role player on a very, very good team, and he does both things well. He plays defense well. His offensive skills are, as you say, all-star caliber. But I think if he were to be the center point of a team, or like the one person on the team offensively that you need to shut down, like that wouldn't be a hard thing to do.
I agree. He couldn't be that, but he could be the second option. He could be the set. Think about, on our team. Well, I would argue that on our second team, the offense runs through him on the second team. He is the offensive focal point on the second team, but as the second or third option on a team, he can put out some big stats. I'm high on him. His development has been really, really, really good. The Celtics handled him well. I feel like he's got a bright future on this team, especially as we start to, as these salary implications start to affect us more and more in the coming years. We have him on a team-friendly deal for the next 2 or 3 years, I believe.
Yeah. The Celtics are going to have to start deferring payments like the Dodgers, man.
The Dodgers. Shohei. Yeah.
we've got to corner that market. Like we'll have a contender for decades, man. We need to figure out how to do this.
Nate, I'm almost ready for this dad joke. I got to call it a night soon.
Are you?
I am too, but like, what's the dad joke? Let's go.
I can't just come up with a dad joke.
Oh yeah, you can.
Yes, you can.
Do you want to talk about episode 3 and 4?
Oh, I want to, but I will say this one thing about the Christmas one. When LeBron James' wife said we processed it differently and she started crying, what I could tell was that there was a mom there who was like, I'm never letting him play basketball again. And a dad who was like, no, you don't understand. This is literally what he lives for. And I loved that moment on the Christmas episode. I loved it.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I liked all of the inside stuff with what happened with Bronny and LeBron. And I still like all the content that we get to see with, behind the scenes with LeBron. I think that'll probably be the best thing that I get out of that.
Yeah.
Because we already know how it ends, right? But I also like seeing Jason Tatum, and I'm wondering where his baby mama is and all this. I don't know if she's estranged or
yeah, that's a great question.
Like I don't know, but
I know the answer to that. None of your fucking business. Leave him alone.
Gosh, all right.
No, actually, they moved. There was a whole story about them early on in his career. She moved up to Boston when he got drafted. They're not together. They haven't been for quite some time. But his mother, and her all are very, very close, is my understanding, and have worked very closely together in terms of raising dudes.
That's awesome. I remember watching WWF and Bret Hart a documentary saying like every Christmas, I miss my kids, but I was entertaining other people's kids. And I never even considered like NBA players the same thing until I saw the documentary, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, the documentary's been well done because there's not really any player that comes off looking bad.
I agree.
They've done a nice job framing all of their stories to present them in a positive light. Like you guys know my thoughts on Miami. I hate Miami. I hate Jimmy Butler, but it's hard to watch his storyline without liking him, right? And like the stuff he went through with his father in episode 5, just heartbreaking. Really, like he's just his own person. He's driven. He's intelligent. He's artistic and kind of independent. It's hard not to like him as a person. I don't like him as a basketball player. It's hard not to like him as a person. There's just all the storylines. I thought they did a nice job. Even LeBron, like you guys know my thoughts on LeBron. I'm not a LeBron hater to the degree some other people are, and they've done a nice job kind of telling his story. They've done a nice job presenting him as a human.
Right, I agree. But the Jimmy Butler thing, especially,
good.
It's good, right? There, and he was like triple double. I sat my shoes, and then I brought to my dad, and then he was gone.
Yeah,
I was like, these motherfuckers. These the people that do these documentaries are really good because they got him in a real moment of emotion at that moment.
And maybe he's the one that comes off looking the worst. Like, I mean, even he's not that bad. I don't really like him because I feel like he's compared to Tatum unfairly. But
who?
Anthony Edwards.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I like seeing. I honestly like Sabonis, although his lifestyle is kind of like bland and stale compared to everybody else's. But like I like.
But he should have made the All-Star team. What the fuck?
Yeah, he should have. But I also like seeing the sneakers, seeing all the sneakers that the guys wear, and I like seeing Tatum's shoes in the documentary. I need to get me a pair. And speaking of sneakers, what do you guys know? What kind of shoes kidnappers wear?
No.
Please tell us.
White Vans.
I like it.
That's all we got. We should do some pizza money, but we'll. Are we still up on? Are we still up? Are we positive?
We got like I think 80. One of those bets we placed last weekend hit for 30, I think, which covered most of our betting for last weekend. Okay. So
Well, we should do some more betting, but
I agree.
I will send more money. I trust you guys. So like whatever you guys need.
I want to morph into some NBA betting because I think there's money to be made there.
there is. I mean, there's almost a double-double almost every, or a triple-double almost every night. And I was trying to convey to you the other day, like if it's I think I said Sabonis, they were like, oh, Sabonis, Jokic, or somebody else. Like if we pick one of those three, like twice a week, like it's bound to hit.
For the king of the court?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah,
agree.
I will send some money. Just tell me how much.
I'm putting up big numbers.
We'll discuss it. But thanks for getting on, y'all. I appreciate it.
Love you, boys.
Definitely before we get off, make sure if you like our content, like smash the like button. Jeez, I can't even talk. And then share any of our content and comment on any of it. And you guys share the content as well, Wally and Chet. That way it gets out to everybody's circle. And then tag me on any of the comments. So, all right, y'all.
All right. Love you guys.
Take care. Love y'all.
Good night.